Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of CoinNewsExtra interview session, a program where we invite innovators, stakeholders, and influencers in the blockchain, cryptocurrency, and fintech ecosystem to come air their points and matters arising and the state of the ecosystem. So today with me is Professor H.C. George, and he is author of the Generation Bitcoin. He is also a member of the Global Bitcoin Association, GBA. Thank you, Prof, for joining us.
Yes, nice to be here on your show. And yeah, here we go.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of things have been.
You travel a lot. Where are you joining us from today?
Yes, I'm traveling always around. I'm looking what the adoption of Bitcoin and blockchain is doing in the world. So, well, actually, I can't travel that much. I'm normally used to be to travel, but since in Europe we have also a lot of things going on with regulations in blockchain, Bitcoin, and so I just have been left Swiss to come over here to Austria to talk to people what's going on here for the next time and how we can move on further with the adoption. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, so that's very nice. We'll be looking at the state of Bitcoin and altcoin. We know what is currently going on. But before we continue, I would like to correct some things. I introduced you as you're also a member of the Global. It's not Global Bitcoin Association, it's the Government Blockchain Association. So sorry for that.
Right.
Mistake that I made earlier on. So we'll be moving straight, knowing the state of Bitcoin and altcoin. But before that, let's just get a brief about yourself and background, Prof.
Yes. Okay. When we see the adoption here, it's all the work of the last 10 years from people who worked in the Bitcoin business. So like me, we teach people, educate people, and all of the stuff and the adoption. And we are going to have a great time there, and we are going to the education sector in what DLT, blockchain, and cryptocurrency is growing every day. So from the beginning in 2017, when the first people rushed into Bitcoin, the first people start to get more knowledge about Bitcoin and what's the price up and down. And now we see more adoption through education, that more people ask for and has a demand for education in the sector, and that makes more people sure to invest into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to feel fine with that. So, and this is another time where big players jumping in, because now they have educated themselves, have watched the price up and down for a long time before they decided to go to the market. Yes, and you see, finally we are here for staying.
Yes, when you talk about you are here for staying, I would say I've looked at your background and what your contribution in the ecosystem. I saw you that you've been a long time Bitcoin adopter.
Yes.
What's your assessment about Bitcoin?
Okay, I've been in Bitcoin for the very first time when Bitcoin was not spoken by the people. So when it started in 2009 to become adoption and come out to the light, I would say that people recognize there is a Bitcoin. The development before was a long time before. So Satoshi Nakamoto was working on very different concepts from very different ideas. And when I came in and I know about this Bitcoin thing from a friend of mine who is a security researcher, and he said to me, okay, let's have a look at this code, and if it is hackable, or what do you think about that? I didn't realize that this will become Bitcoin sooner or later. So no one was really knowing what he was working on and putting hands on to test if the file system is a secure system which you can't extract from a hard disk drive from any computer, read the stream inside this file. So if you come from the computer scenario like me, from the very beginning of the Commodore computers, it's always fun to see new software which kind of hackable is or not. So we have think about all the games in the past times we hacked, and now a software is there and the people say this is unhackable. Okay, so this is a challenge. Okay, this is no matter if this becomes Bitcoin or whatever it becomes, but it is about that someone was creating a software which you really can't hack. And this was the biggest thing when you put hands on that, and it leads into the system, and you recognize then later what you are working on. And this was the beginning of all of that. But that's the reason why a lot of people in the very first day, from the very first day, have been into Bitcoin, because they know Bitcoin before it was open to the public, and because they all were, I would say, yeah, a little bit upset about what's going on with that. Yeah, they was saying, how should that work? Yeah, what is the adaption? And yeah, now you have a piece of code. Okay, it's like a treasure. Okay, no one can crack in. But what is the utility of that? Yeah, who will go for that? And in this time, in the beginning, no one was asking that. It was only that was a magic moment that someone created a software which you can't hack. History and becoming independent systems. So that's what meaning in the mid 90s that people dreamt about a computer driven society which is controlled by the people itself. So and now the magic moment happens, and DigiCash failed because the guy who founded DigiCash was going to the Deutsche Bank and was saying, hey, I have a system for your banking. Everyone was disappointed because that was not the meaning of cryptographic hashes in a system, for example. It was meant to be a free world, right? And now Satoshi Nakamoto was this guy who brought back the idea to the origin. So and to be part of that, that you can say, okay, we have checked that and we can't crack down the system. And after 11 years, Bitcoin has not cracked itself. So not the blockchain has been hacked or Bitcoin itself has been hacked. So that's a really proof of what we can do with computers and how strong the topics in hacking and computer freaks are. So this is the magic moment. After 11 years, we can be proud that the system hasn't been hacked.
Yes, talking about Bitcoin itself, we know how it has been able to solve the double spending issues, and also
Yeah.
being on that is also transparent. So we have seen you've been able to mention a little bit about the tech aspect of it. I know you are into tech. So let's look at what's happening in the market now. What with Bitcoin and altcoins. Okay, we saw this kind of move. 2007, it was called bull run. So, would you say we are already in a Bitcoin bull run or crypto bull run this season? How do you see the ecosystem?
Yeah, I'm always looking from a point that I said, okay, there is no bearish market or no bull run. The problem that many people see on the markets is they come from a technology point. So you have all the measurements and you say, okay, now we have a triangle, now we have an outbreak or whatever, and then you make your suggestions where the price is going. For day traders, in an exemption, it's a good thing. Okay, so they can see what happens during a day and can make their forecast for the next day. But if you look long term, that I was saying a couple of years ago on a conference that the Bitcoin price must have in 2020 30,000 and must go after 50,000 a while, because Bitcoin is not only a trading instrument. So if you see the altcoins, these are who's supporting the trading. So you can do Bitcoin against altcoins, and the altcoins will support the Bitcoin in growing. And if the Bitcoin is growing like now, all the altcoiners jump out of their altcoins and invest in Bitcoin. And so you see Bitcoin is going up, altcoins is going down, altcoins is going up, Bitcoin is going down, and then they have a phase where they grow together. So what more necessary is to look from a point of a long-term perspective. And we've seen that Bitcoin has undergone a lot of development in the past time. We have the Bitcoin core team, for example, is very excellent coders who make Bitcoin up to date. We have seen the Lightning coming. Yeah, we have seen Segwit coming. You can now do with Bitcoin's instant payments. You have the Liquid network, for example, where you can set up your own exchange on the Bitcoin-based network. So we have seen a lot of inventions. And one thing which is most important, what people do not recognize, is we have the halving. The halving of the Bitcoins was last year in May. But think about, we're talking about trading, and we have 8 million coins in a flow, yeah, and we do our tradings as normal. Because the halving is there are still 8 million coins, and they have to be used. So a lot of people now bought Bitcoin from the market and keep that, as we say, hodling, yeah, and hold them, yeah. So it needs a long time from the halving point to the effect of the halving, because at the moment the halving is in, there are a lot of coins on the market and the trading is going on in a normal way. But if more and more people jump on board, and that's what we have seen in the past, Coinbase is actually counting 50,000 people a week coming new into the Bitcoin space. Yeah. So these people buy Bitcoin, and a lot of people are needed to buy Bitcoin away from the market. So the market has a demand to go to the miners and say, okay, we need more Bitcoins, right? And then at this moment, the halving effect takes place. And that's what you have seen when MicroStrategy was investing $1 billion. There haven't been enough Bitcoins in circulation to buy them at all. They were going for the OTC and for the miners and bought that. And now Elon Musk was doing the same, and MicroStrategy was upticking the whole thing again of $1.5 billion this week. So the limitation of the coins must raise in a higher price, and that's what we see at the moment.
Okay, talking about the limitation of the coin, having limited number of the coin in circulation. Okay, we saw this kind of upward price movement in 2017. So let's make a little comparison between the market in 2017. Do you think what is happening now, like we are experiencing an upward market price movement? Do you think it will be sustained? 2017 was much like a bubble which busted.
Yeah, the problem with 2017 was that the people do not really understand what happens in 2017. So I was making a statement in 2017 that the price will come up again because there's one reason in 2017. What most of the people do not have seen or didn't recognize, I would say, was that we had a different situation and regulation. For instance, in the US market was in 2016 rising in Bitcoin. So I would say US was sleeping about Bitcoin, and then they awake. So the awakeness about Bitcoin in the US led in a situation they have a very difficult tax system. So what is about the US is, in the end of the year in November, people have to file the taxes for the ISC because they want to see what happens in the year, because the December is in America holiday season. So what they have done is they filed their taxes, and then they put the liquidity out of the companies into Bitcoin. They bought a huge amount of Bitcoins in 2017 in the end of the day. Institutional investors were jumping on that. Problem was, and that what no one was believing, when I talked about that, in January they sold all their Bitcoins because they have to do another tax file in April. That's the first quarter. So the US want to see what happens in the first quarter to make a suggestion about what people have to pay for taxes, So, but if they have filed in November that they have a liquidity of $430 million, for example, and now the liquidity is zero, and they want to explain them that Bitcoin is in the game, and they have forbidden them to buy Bitcoin. So they must sell their Bitcoins to get it back into the company, and then there were no taxes on that. So they got the difference for free. So that was the reason why Americans was jumping on the Bitcoin train in 2017 and led this into what many people call it a bubble. A lot of people didn't have a bubble because they know the price will crash in that time, because they have to sell the Bitcoins, and you can't sell in April all the Bitcoins back to the market. It's impossible. You have to start a quarter of a year ago, because you have to find the traders, the UTC, and whatever you will use for it. Yeah, and that was the reason why we had this big crash downside. Another point was what many people underestimate more. It was not only Bitcoin who crashed. We had the ICO market, and the ICO market was a very good way for a lot of companies to crowdfund. But the problem was that we had in the ICO market 95% of scams. So when this bubbles exploded and the people were running away, a lot of investors was saying, "Oh my God, Bitcoin is a shady thing. So let's leave the Bitcoin scenery." So that was like a spiral. On the one hand, you had the big investors jumping back because of the taxes. On the other hand, the people are afraid losing their funds in Bitcoins into the projects because there was so much scams in there. So, and that was going to a down spiral.
Okay, let's take a brief break when it comes to Bitcoin, and let's look towards altcoins. What can you say about altcoins? Which ones is we could see at the likes of Ethereum, Binance, Polkadot, who are springing up? What's your take on altcoins?
Today was a funny day for everyone who was saying, okay, Ethereum is the next Bitcoin or something like that. We have seen that Binance was suspending Ethereum and suspends the withdrawals for a time. Yeah, and you have seen how vulnerable the DeFi market is if they are all relayed with the tokens on the Ethereum network. You see, that was a huge impact Binance has made for the psychology of people believing in DeFi systems and something like that, and showed them how centralized the decentralized system is. Yeah, because you have to trust someone doing the custody for you, like Binance in this case. Okay, so the DeFi, the altcoins, I would say altcoins have a big problem. Today we have more than 8,600 altcoins. So the problem of an altcoin is utility. So the most problem in the space is, even if people talk about to you about a new coin, is you haven't got a settlement. That means you haven't got people who give that whole thing a utility. So I give you a good coin which is working well for years now, and is I would say settled in the sceneries. For example, Stellar. Stellar was building a platform where if you're a gamer and you have a PlayStation or whatever, you can meet on the platform and you can play all the games by streaming. So they have to pay a fee for that. Moreover, this platform was open like World of Warcraft or something like that. And now if you want to pay an item in your game, you can buy it with Stellar. So you can ask your neighbor who is also in this platform, you can ask, can you send me some Stellars? I want to buy something. So what Stellar was doing 2 years ago, they kicked out Ethereum and Bitcoin as a payment and only left with Stellar. So what happened was they have 2 million kids running that. The advertising space wants to address these kids because this is a huge market. They're in the age 14 up to 20, right? So what they have done is Stellar was saying, okay, if you want to buy Stellar, you have to exchange 1 to 2. And if the advertising space is coming, they have to exchange 1 to 8. And the advertising market was saying, okay, we are willing to buy Stellar. So now you have a user base about 2 million people around, and you have a fixed income stream from advertising. So that means this coin has a utility, and it has provided a community with an add-on. So, and many people hope that this is coming from the DeFi market. Think about Half-Life 2 was tested with the Bitcoin payment now. So there is a mod where you can easily add on Bitcoin transactions. So you see, the future is for altcoins, I will believe, is in the gaming. So if we can create decentralized apps which are provide, for example, markets to buy things, like you have your app store, you have a decentralized market for buying things in your role game. So there I see a lot of use case for altcoins, and then altcoins can become a utility itself. But at the moment, really no altcoin has another reason than you exchange and trade with them.
Okay, let's look at, most of these companies, like we made mention of Tesla. We know about Tesla, which bought about 1.5 billion. We know about Square that bought last year, and other companies who are coming to buy Bitcoin. Most of them are buying Bitcoin and not altcoins. Do you think it's a good strategy for businesses? And is it a good strategy for businesses? Is it a good one for the crypto industry?
Yes, I say we have two different things in that. So we have two different opinions about it. The first point of view is, if you say, okay, businesses there, the business is always crying for regulation, and they want to have, they do not want to have volatility. They want to have stable markets, so they cry for stable coins. They cry for security tokens and everything. On the other hand, we have seen that all this asset management to keep out the volatility has failed, because it's the old economy. And then now we see worldwide we have an economy crisis, and we do the same in a digital way. And that leads people into a situation where only, I would say, the rich man is playing that game. So if you go for a company side and you have a business running, and the question is, do you want to invest into Bitcoin? So now we have an ETF, for example, in Canada. So the people buy papers instead of Bitcoins itself. So the papers will lock the Bitcoins for them and do the custody for them. It's stupid, because if this custody service or the ETF is doing wrong and it is against the law will shut down the ETF faster than you can see. So they go for a big risk, which the economy is not seeing. On the other hand, the economy wants that way. So going into Bitcoin these days is a good advice, because Bitcoin is not falling back that way in 2070, right? Because now we have seen that the big investors are in there, and they are interested to keep the high price. So that means, for example, if you have invested in Apple shares, for example, in a stock, You do not want to see that Apple is going stairs down. What you do is you invest more and more money to stable the price that you can trade on top of this price. Yeah, and this is what institutional investors do. They will likely now stable the price of Bitcoin at a high level to go on top with tradings. Yeah. So the only thing which is dangerous is in that a lot of people, not investors in Bitcoin or altcoins, normal people, have a FOMO. So if you create more YouTube videos where you call the Bitcoin is dead or your altcoins are dead, more people get crazy about this topic and will leave the leave the space, and for what reason ever. So, for example, you're the guy here, the nice guy. You are owning a lot of Bitcoins, and the people around you know, oh, CoinNewsExtra, and he has a lot of Bitcoins. Yeah. Now, because you want to do something for yourself and you buy a yacht on an neighbor and pay with Bitcoins, people say, wow, he was selling 100 Bitcoins. Something must going on the market. He knows something we do not know. But you didn't tell the people that you bought a yacht, right? They only see that you sold 100 Bitcoins, and that was CoinNewsExtra. So they said, oh, here's an insider knowledge. And then everyone is jumping on that train and sell their Bitcoins because they want to miss out the point. And that's also a psychology thing in the market. So, but actually you can't do wrong with an investment. You haven't got done wrong with an investment in 20,000 when it was 20,000. The only thing in Bitcoin is it is a mid until long-term investment. This is not something you should look for the interest fees every day. If you do so, you get crazy about it. Yeah. You should buy some Bitcoins. Maybe even if you run a company, buy some Bitcoins, forget about the Bitcoins for 3 years. And after 3 years, you remember that you make a remark that someone is saying, look at your Bitcoins. And then you're funny, because the up and downs on the market will make you crazy.
Yeah, interesting. The up and down, you see how the market is and the volatile nature of the market. You know, you make someone, if you are not fully into it, crazy. So it has really been an amazing time out with you, Professor H.C. George, who is the author of Generation Bitcoin. What a generation it is. So before we draw the curtain on today's episode of CoinNewsExtra Interview session, Prof, I would like to get your closing remark.
Yes. We are in very, very good times at the moment. So it's not about Bitcoin, it's about the blockchain system at all. We see more and more adoption. We see that more and more companies coming out with real usages and use cases for blockchain adoption. And always remember, you can't take away Bitcoin from that, because every business today which is providing blockchain and other systems or DApps or something like that, these guys building these companies come from Bitcoin. So all of them have funded their companies with Bitcoins in a way. So you can't, if someone is telling you Bitcoin is dead, you can't tell that, because now most people and investors in the world agree that Bitcoin is here to stay. And we have to look what the regulation is saying. For example, Nigeria, the ban we have seen in the world. In India, we have seen it, and now the markets are open. And Nigeria is doing the same, testing where it is going to. But sooner or later, you will see. I will back to you this summer. Nigeria is regulating Bitcoin in a way that they have to open the accounts again.
Yeah, that's one from you. Let's see how it goes. We are observing the situation, most especially the one that is happening in Nigeria here. Though what they are actually doing, I don't know, is preventing our banking officials and banking institutions from allowing crypto and blockchain companies, most especially exchanges, from accessing financial services. Let's see how it develops. Thank you very much. It has really been an amazing time out with you. We really appreciate Professor H.C. George, the author of the Generation Bitcoin. Thank you for joining us today on CoinNewsExtra Interview.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.